You did everything right. You bought the fish, you set up the tank, you followed the advice, and your fish are still dying. Not from bad water, not from disease, from each other. And the store that sold you those fish knew exactly what would happen. Here's the part of the fish buying conversation nobody is having. Everyone talks about which fish to buy. Nobody talks about which fish to buy together. And that gap, that silence, is responsible for more dead fish, more crashed tanks, and more people quitting the hobby in frustration than any single bad species recommendation ever could. Because you can buy the right fish and still destroy your tank if you put the wrong ones together. Today I'm going through the 6 most common fish combinations PetSmart pushes that are quietly incompatible in ways the store either doesn't know or doesn't tell you. And I'm saving the most dangerous combo for last. It's the one that looks the most peaceful on paper. It's in thousands of tanks right now. And by the time most people realize what's happening, it's already too late. If this channel has saved your fish before, subscribe right now, because this video might be the most important one we've made. Let's get into it. Before the combinations, one concept that explains why this happens. Fish compatibility is not just about aggression. It covers 5 factors most beginners never consider. Water parameters. Some fish need soft acidic water. Others need hard alkaline water. Put them together, and one population is always stressed. Temperature range. Overlapping doesn't mean identical. A fish comfortable at 72 degrees and a fish comfortable at 80 degrees cannot both thrive at the same temperature simultaneously. Swimming zones. Top, middle, and bottom. When 2 species compete for the same layer, conflict follows. Fin compatibility. Long flowing fins on one species plus a known fin nipper on another equals one stressed, damaged fish. Size trajectory. The fish that looks harmless at 2 inches may eat everything in the tank at 6. Every combination I'm about to show you fails on at least one of these. Some fail on all 5. Combo 1. Betta plus guppies. This is the most commonly assembled disaster in the hobby. A beautiful betta, colorful guppies, peaceful community tank, right? Wrong. Here's what actually happens. Male guppies have large, flowing, colorful tails. From a betta's perspective, that tail is indistinguishable from another betta's finnage. The threat response triggers immediately. The betta doesn't see a guppy, it sees a rival. The harassment is relentless and largely invisible to owners who don't watch closely. The guppy doesn't die dramatically, it hides. It stops eating. Its fins slowly shred. It declines over 2 to 3 weeks, while the owner assumes everything is fine, because nothing looks obviously wrong. And here's the part that makes this combination especially insidious. Female guppies are safer, plainer fins, less triggering. Some betta guppy combinations with females do work, temporarily. But the moment females give birth, and guppies give birth constantly, the betta will eat the fry. And as the male fry mature and develop color and finnage, the harassment begins again. The store sells both species as community fish. They are not compatible community fish together. What to do instead? Keep your betta alone, or with very short-finned, non-colorful tank mates. Corydoras below the betta's territory. Small, drab tetras if the betta has a calm temperament. Test carefully and watch closely. And here's the part that makes this combination especially insidious. Combo 2. Goldfish plus tropical fish. This combination shouldn't exist. And yet, it's assembled in pet stores, recommended by employees, and sold in starter kits across the country every single day. Goldfish are cold water fish. They thrive between 65 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Tropical fish tetras, guppies, danios, corydoras require 75 to 80 degrees to thrive. These ranges do not overlap in a way that's healthy for either species. At tropical temperatures, goldfish metabolism runs dangerously fast. Their immune system weakens. Their lifespan shortens measurably. At goldfish temperatures, tropical fish become lethargic, stop eating effectively, and become susceptible to infection. Both populations are being slowly compromised. Neither shows obvious distress immediately. The decline is gradual enough that owners rarely connect the cause to the temperature mismatch. There's a second problem. Goldfish produce waste at a rate that overwhelms the filtration systems most community tanks run. The ammonia load from a single fancy goldfish in a 20-gallon community tank will stress every other fish within weeks. These species are incompatible on multiple levels simultaneously. No exception. Keep goldfish with goldfish. Keep tropical fish with tropical fish. Never mix them, regardless of what the employee says or what the starter kit includes. Combo 3, tiger barbs plus angelfish. This combination is one of the most visually appealing disasters in the hobby. Angelfish are dramatic, elegant, striking centerpiece fish. Tiger barbs are colorful, energetic, and visually dynamic. Together in a tank, they look extraordinary. For about 4 days. Tiger barbs are compulsive fin nippers. It is not a behavior problem. It is a biological drive rooted in competitive feeding behavior. They nip at movement, and long, flowing fins trigger that response constantly. Angelfish have long, flowing fins. The barbs will harass the angelfish without pause. The angelfish, a species that is actually a cichlid with genuine territorial instincts, will stress severely. Under constant harassment from fish it cannot effectively fight back against. Stressed angelfish stop eating. Their immune system weakens. They develop hole-in-the-head disease and other stress-related conditions at significantly elevated rates. The solution for tiger barbs specifically, keep them in groups of 10 or more. In large enough numbers, they direct their aggression and nipping behavior at each other, rather than at tank mates. But even then, long-finned, slow-moving fish should not share their tank. Angelfish need calm, similarly sized, peaceful tank mates. Tiger barbs are the opposite of that. Combo 4, Oscars plus any small community fish. This one comes down to pure geometry. An Oscar is a large South American cichlid. Adults reach 12 to 14 inches. They are intelligent, personable, and one of the most rewarding fish in the hobby. They are also predators. If a fish fits in an Oscar's mouth, it will eventually be in the Oscar's mouth. Pet stores sell juvenile Oscars at 2 to 3 inches. At that size, they look manageable. They look like they might coexist peacefully with the tetras, the guppies, the small danios in the same section of the aisle. They will not coexist. Not when they're 4 inches. Definitely not when they're 12. The trajectory of an Oscar purchase is predictable. Small fish disappear one by one, usually overnight when the owner isn't watching, and the owner gradually stocks larger and larger tank mates, trying to find something the Oscar won't eat. The correct approach: buy an Oscar knowing it needs a 75-gallon minimum tank as an adult, kept with other large cichlids, or very large fish it cannot consume. An Oscar is not a community fish. It is a centerpiece predator. Plan accordingly before you buy it. 4 combinations down. Before the final 2, and the one I told you about at the beginning, subscribe right now if you haven't. The first 4 combinations on this list are aggressive incompatibilities, obvious conflicts once you understand the biology. The last 2 are different. These are the combinations that look peaceful. Fish that don't chase each other. Fish that don't nip each other's fins. Fish that seem to coexist perfectly for weeks, sometimes months. while one population slowly, quietly, invisibly suffers. And the last one, the one I promised at the beginning, is the most heartbreaking on this list, because the damage is completely invisible until it's permanent. Combo 5, Discus plus hardwater community fish. Discus fish are the crown jewel of the freshwater hobby. Round, dramatically colored, impossibly beautiful. When they're healthy, in the right conditions, there is nothing like them in freshwater aquariums. The key phrase, right conditions. Discus requires soft, acidic water, pH between 5.5 and 7.0, very low mineral content, temperatures between 82 and 88 degrees Fahrenheit. These are the conditions of their native Amazon blackwater habitats. Most community fish, danios, most tetras, corydoras, live bearers, prefer moderately hard, neutral to slightly alkaline water at 74 to 78 degrees. These parameter requirements do not overlap in a way that allows both populations to truly thrive. But here's why this combo keeps getting assembled. Discus at the store look fine in the store's water. The store maintains one water condition across many tanks. The fish survive it. They don't thrive in it, but they survive. A customer sees beautiful discus and beautiful community fish in adjacent tanks and assumes compatibility. At home, whichever water condition the owner establishes, one population is always compromised. Either the discus slowly deteriorate in water that's too hard and too cool, or the community fish struggle in water that's too warm and too soft. Discus are species-specific fish that belong in species-specific tanks. They are not community fish. They are the centerpiece of a dedicated, carefully managed setup built entirely around their requirements. If you want discus, build the right tank for discus. Don't compromise them with an incompatible community. Combo 6, neon tetras plus large cichlids. Here is the most common heartbreak combination in the hobby. Neon tetras are one of the most beautiful freshwater fish ever put in a glass box. That electric blue and red stripe in a proper school, under good lighting, against green plants, is genuinely breathtaking. And they're sold everywhere, at every price point, in every pet store, including pet stores that also sell large cichlids. Convict cichlids, green terrors, Jack Dempsey's, firemouth cichlids. These cichlids are sold as semi-aggressive community fish, which is technically accurate with the right tank mates. Neon tetras are not the right tank mates. Small, brightly colored, slow enough to catch, approximately the right size to eat, neon tetras trigger every predatory instinct in a cichlid's behavioral repertoire. But here's what makes this combination the most heartbreaking on this list. It often looks fine at first. For days, sometimes weeks, the cichlid is still small. The neons are fast enough to avoid it. The owner relaxes. Then one morning, there are 11 neons instead of 12, then 9, then 6. The disappearances are so gradual, usually overnight, usually leaving no evidence, that owners often spend weeks adding water conditioner, testing parameters, checking for disease. The tank isn't sick. The cichlid is eating. The rule that prevents this: research the adult size and temperament of every cichlid species before it goes in a community tank. If it reaches 4 inches or more at adulthood and has cichlid territorial instincts, it does not belong with neon tetras. Ever. 6 combinations. All of them sold in the same store. All of them assembled by beginners who followed the advice of someone who either didn't know better or didn't say anything. And in every single case, the fish paid the price. Here's what I want you to take from this. The store is not designing these combinations to fail. Nobody is sitting in a boardroom planning your fish's death. But the store is also not designing them to succeed. The fish aisle is organized by species, not by compatibility. The employees are trained in retail, not in aquatic biology. The labels list care requirements, but not cohabitation warnings. The gap, the space where the information should be but isn't, is exactly where fish die. You just filled that gap. And every fish in your tank is safer because of it. Before you buy another fish, one question, not is this fish healthy? Who is this fish going home to live with? If you can't answer that question with confidence, watch the next video before you buy anything. Because the complete compatible community tank guide, every species combination that works, every parameter that overlaps, every setup that runs itself peacefully, drops next. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it. And drop a comment below. Which combination on this list did you accidentally build? Because I promise you're not alone. And knowing you're not alone is the first step to fixing it.